Welcome back to another podcast of Less Kevin, More Tech from UTECit.com. So we've got a great agenda today, a great podcast, and it isn't because Kevin's not here. Kevin's on vacation. He's trying to make it in, flew in via a red eye. But anyhow, he may or may not be here. But with that said, we have a couple of special guests here, the Parloves in Brighton, Michigan. And so Vince was on a few weeks ago, and he was talking about his wife and his family, and there was so much passion there. And then he led on about how they had their own podcast. So I've watched the episodes. They're fantastic. I recommend that you go out and you search them up on YouTube. They're the Parlove Shack, which is great. So today we've got Vince coming back, his wife Amy, and I just want to thank you guys.
Thanks for having us. I can't believe you asked me back, to be real honest with you. I must have been okay last time.
Well, I mean, what happened is we had to have a meeting, and it was a close vote. Just kidding. No, it was a great episode, Vince. A lot of energy. Yeah. Kevin told me you were a low-key, mild-mannered guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I texted Vince afterwards, after I saw the episode. I said, man, we got to get Amy on because this is fantastic.
Aw, thanks.
And the reason I like your shows is there's a ton of content. And what I mean by content is it's personal, it's raw, it's emotional. Yeah. It isn't manufactured. And it's all about, the mutual love you share, right? Yeah. And for your family, your life. And you also talk about trials and tribulations and challenges of, loss and, kind of the up and downs of life and how the two of you dealt with it.
Right.
Yeah, this was really Amy's brainchild. I'd love to sit here and take credit for it, but she really came up with it. She did, and I just said, hey, listen, let's get on there and let's just tell people what life's about. And really, we haven't done one in a while. You guys are probably rejuvenating. What we're going to shoot one again. But it's been people would say, hey, when are you doing another one? It's funny how many people just pay attention.
Absolutely.
Well, and our kids' friends would say, I saw you on this podcast, and I was like, what?
Right.
So it was kind of fun because we're talking about the kids.
Right.
We're talking about families and real things that happened. And so it's pretty cool when...
So what motivated you to come to Vince and say, Vince, we got to do this? Because a lot of people think of stuff, but then they don't do it.
Yeah. You pushed, though. So I think it was my idea, but Vince said, I'm all in. So if we're going to do it, let's do it. So I think just a podcast listener, I just said it would be kind of fun if you and I did something. Yeah. Vince is, as you said, low energy, right? So he's a high energy dude. And I just love to talk and I love people. And it was just great to share. I mean, my favorite thing in the world is talking about family.
Yeah.
So it was a really cool thing for us to do together. It was very laid back. It was very spontaneous. I mean, sometimes we'd say on a Tuesday, I'd get a text from him, you want to do one this weekend? Sure, let's do one. And then we just map out time and sit down and go, and never any too much calculation on what we just say, what do you want to talk about? One of us would say something and we'd say, okay, cool. And then we'd just sit down and shoot it.
Well, a lot of times it was top of mind type situation. Something would be going on and we go, hey, let's talk about that this weekend. Because everybody's going through it, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, everybody's sitting there. I think people, maybe one of the things that we didn't realize off of it is that when we're going through something, there's probably 500 people, in our circle that are going through it too.
Yeah.
And when somebody says, "Oh my gosh, they go through it too," because everybody thinks that, they see, you on vacation or now and that's they think that's your life,
right?
You know what I mean, it's just vacation. I'll realize that.
Yeah, you bring up a good point because with social media now, everybody kind of puts the highlights out. Right. Mm-hmm. Here's the restaurant we went to. Here's the fabulous vacation. Here's the great pictures, stuff like that. But, life's not easy.
Sure.
And it don't matter what the exterior looks like. everybody's got challenges.
Sure.
And what I liked about your guys' approach was that you didn't have a fear of talking about it. You know, so I know that a lot of people, that outside, you know, veneer is important to them, and it would be very difficult to open up.
Oh, no, we're open book.
Yeah.
I mean, really, we are. We'll talk about whatever, you know.
So here's one I got to ask you guys. So you talked about, you know, you've been dating since high school, right?
Yeah.
And you get out of college, there was separation because of distance, and then boom, you got married like a year later.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so in a later episode, you're talking about decision.
Yeah.
And you both are on opposite ends of a spectrum. Amy, you like to be 90% plus. Vince, you're like, let's go at 60%, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's get to the marriage question.
Yeah.
So were you 90% or was he 60%?
Oh, jeez.
That's actually a good question.
I didn't know that's where you were going. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that you know, Vince was my first love
Yeah.
and only love.
Yeah.
So I think that we broke up for a short stint. I think first year of college.
Yeah. And then she realized she couldn't live without me. So she,
Well,
So he's low energy, humble.
right, exactly.
it's so far from the truth. It's ridiculous.
So
We're going to go with it.
I think that Vince and I are a good balance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that if you have, I just had this conversation with a friend of mine. Like, if you've got a type A and a type A and you're trying to fit together,
Yeah.
somebody's always trying to win. Somebody's always trying to be boss. Somebody's always
Right.
trying to be in control. And I think over the years, what we've learned, and even early on, is that Vince is a pusher. He
Yeah.
likes to go. He likes to challenge. And I am, to a fault sometimes, overly cautious. But over the years, what we've learned is working together. It's
Right.
been a nice balance. And I've been able to take more risks
Uh-huh.
because he has the confidence to go. He's been able to sometimes pump the brakes because he can see it in me that I'm like, just give me a second.
Yeah.
And then we can come together and figure it out.
So Vince, when did you learn that she was in control?
Subtly early
That's
on,
also a
yes.
great question. I'd like to hear this answer.
No, I mean, no, it's, you know, it's funny. One of the things that I always relied on her is obviously she stayed home, and we were fortunate enough to, you know, let her raise our kids. You know what I mean? That's the decision we made. And anything that came to, whether they, you know, weren't feeling good or something was wrong, she was, you know, hey, this is wrong. And I was like, hey, what do we need to do?
Right.
Right. So that was always that, you know, that mother instinct, and, you know, would come in, and I never, ever, still to this day, don't challenge her. She's just like, and each kid's got their own little signs in regards to how they don't feel good. And she picked up on that. And, you know, and, you know, so there's certain things, you know, when it comes down to pushing, whether it's, you know, business wise, or because now we're in business together, is you know, kind of like my forte, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've had some challenging conversations here in the last you know, kind of 3 years as she's, you know, coming to the mortgage business.
Yeah.
So, which has been kind of cool.
So in our house, we call that mommy radar.
Yeah.
That's what we call it.
That's accurate. Yeah. And I think though there's something to be said about it. You kind of just alluded to it, Vince, is this stay in your lane. And it's not that I don't want him in that lane. It's just that sometimes I say, I know better in this, you know, what I'm dealing with right now. I got this. So just trust that I got it. And same with him, you know, he'll be saying something and I'll be like, what? And he's like, just don't worry about it. I have it. And
got it.
It's just trusting in each other that the other one knows what they're doing and
we'll
you know,
take care of it.
Yeah.
Yep. It's funny. You know, everybody knows that we've been together forever and things of that nature. You know what I mean? We've had our trials and tribulations. You know what I mean? And you know, people need to know that.
They do.
You know what I mean? And it's, you know, we've had our tough times. We had deaths, you know, and we've talked about it in our podcast and things like that. And it's, you know, we dealt with everything that everybody's dealt with. You know what I mean? You know, heck, I mean, within a year, we had my father died. We lost a baby.
Oh
you know
my
what I mean?
God.
You know, early on.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But that stuff, you know, people are,
Yeah.
talk about losing a baby. You wouldn't believe as we put that out there, people are like, us too.
Yeah.
Us too.
Right.
Yeah.
And it creates a connection. You know what I mean? And it's just like, God, it's, you know, it's cool. We got a lot of it. It's cool that you guys were able to say that, because now, you know, you're not perfect.
Right.
Which sometimes people get that conception of.
Or even with in the kid genre, you know, where we're saying, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that can attest to this. When you tell your kid something over and over and over again, and it isn't until somebody else tells them,
right.
and then they come back and they're like, oh, do you know what so-and-so said to me? I should really do this. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure Dad and I said that 1,500 times to you. But cool, if you're, and then we're just looking at each other smirking and going,
well, that concept right there, when 5,000 other parents hear this, they're going to go, they're going to put that connection together.
Right.
It is.
There's an old Bible story about that. A prophet in his own town is never heard.
Yeah, totally, right?
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So true in our own house.
Yep.
Yes.
So you've 3 kids.
Yes.
Now, one is in high school, right?
Correct.
Senior or junior?
She's gonna be a senior.
Senior, okay.
Yes.
So, and then the other 2 are out,
Correct.
and there's serious relationships involved there.
Our oldest, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. She's 22. Yep. Almost 23. She'll be 23 soon. And serious relationship, like 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you guys thinking there?
We love him.
Yeah, that's
He's
awesome.
a great kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're again nice, super nice balance for each other.
So
Perfect.
there, talk about that, and they'll probably kill us maybe a little bit. But Gianna is much like me, right? Go
Yes.
or come on,
Yeah.
I'll chew off my arm if it's in the parent trap. You know what I mean? I'll
Right.
reach with the bloody end. You know what I mean? To get away. But and then she's found somebody that's a little bit more passive. Great kid, great supporter.
Love
we
him.
love him. You know, and things like that. But Amy and I have kind of watched this relationship kind of grow, and we're like, it's working because they got both sides of the equation.
Yeah. He's
You know?
a very patient young man.
Got
and for her, she needs that. And
Yin and yang?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say
There you
so.
go. There
Yeah.
you go.
And just both just great humans.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome to see.
Well, that's
yeah.
why we got in the business. You know what I mean? We
Yeah,
we had that discussion before.
Right.
Got in the kid business, to really create great human beings.
Yeah.
Not movie stars or athletes or things like that. You know what I mean? We got a little bit of that in all of them. You know what I mean? And just by with kind of the let's create a human being.
Yeah, you want to bring into the world competent, mature, adults that are going to contribute.
Yeah.
You don't want a detractor.
Right.
And in this day and age too is that we've talked about this a lot too is that we've got this kind of smothering type what people do with their kids and just let them go and let them make a mistake, and that's what you and I go back
I am
and forth
pointing
too.
to myself
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
it's just like, hey, come on, let's let them go. You know what I mean? Because you can tell a kid 100 times not to touch the hot stove, and if
Right.
he does it,
Right.
or she does it. Then now they really know, right?
Yeah. It's how they learn.
But it's tough. It's tough to watch. Watch them fail, and you're just like, yep, I told you so.
And we'll be going like that, till the end of our days.
Yeah.
We want them to, but we also want ourselves to. We want to keep growing, expanding,
For sure.
Yeah.
trying new things.
You got
So,
Sure.
so the middle child,
Yeah. A boy.
Yeah.
boy,
So
okay.
God love him. He's in between the 2 girls.
Yeah,
Definitely more like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easygoing and just a happy young man.
Is he the owner of the dog, or?
Yes, he is.
He is.
Officially. He's on the title.
Yeah, he just got the nod for half of the vet bill from last weekend when the dog was sick.
Very nice.
Yeah, we're like, okay. He's a great kid. Young man, I should say. He's 20. And he's fortunate enough to work with Vince.
Oh, really?
Which is pretty awesome.
That is.
I'll let you talk a lot about that.
Listen, it was rough.
Yeah.
We've worked through it. I've seen him grow more in the last 6 months than I have in 19 and a half years.
So, is he more of an operational person or a salesperson?
Well, what the funny thing is that I think he's grown to a salesperson because he's in a sales role.
Got it.
He came home the other day. He made 200 outbound calls, which is really up there with the best of them. 7-8 months into this business,
Right.
And now he's getting the results are starting to come. But it's just like with anything, you know what I mean? If you keep banging your head against the wall and there's no results, you know what I mean? People fall away from that. You go find something different. But now he's found some successes,
Right.
In a tough market. I mean, we got interest rates that are going, went through the roof, in the last, the whole complexion of the market has changed, in 6 months.
So he's a cold call cowboy.
Yeah.
Cowboy, you got
So
it.
it's been fun to watch him because he's a different track, right? Than our oldest daughter, she went through college. She did, went all the way through. She played a college sport and is continuing on to do some postgraduate work now, but it just wasn't for him.
Yeah.
So it's been great to see, and he stumbled a little bit in the beginning. He thought he might want to go back to school.
Sure.
We thought he was going to be an electrician, so we
Okay.
went down that route. But then Vince said, let's
Right.
try in mortgages. So that's been an interesting thing too, and interesting to see him interact on the weekends with his buddies that are in college, which has been fun too. Because
Yeah.
we're like, on the weekend, you go be a college kid, go to Michigan State and go have some fun and go hang with your boys. And
That's cool.
yeah. It's fun.
I think sales, in terms of personal growth and arena, because successful salespeople face rejection 95% of the time. So it takes a lot of personal growth to muster through that. And, so I tip my hat to him.
Yeah. And that's his college, right?
Yeah.
This is College of Hard Knocks.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Let's get in it. Let's roll them up and let's go, And,
Yeah.
and that's been kind of tough for me because I came into it and, he's near me kind of, but he reports to a whole different team and leaders and staying away from it,
Yeah.
and just letting them, once again,
Yeah.
letting them,
Develop and learn.
them,
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be hard as a dad because you're, it's not physically drowning, but they're swaling away trying to figure out where to go, what to do, and you want to just reach out and help. But sometimes you got to say, figure it out.
Yeah. And I think I've learned more and more that that's really what you need to do.
Yeah.
Comes a point where you just can't help anymore.
Yeah.
Give suggestions and be there for them, but they got to figure it out.
I'm laughing because Vince is as many hours as Vince works. So he works in Pontiac. So they drive to Pontiac, from Brighton. So it's a haul. So they leave very early and they get home very late. So you can imagine a 19, 20-year-old boy.
In the car.
So there's
Especially
been a
on
few
that
mornings-
696 arena.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He'd say, "I don't think he's up. Is he up?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Looks like I'm getting him up." He says, "I'm not waking him up this morning."
It's funny, he had an epiphany just in the last probably couple
Yeah.
weeks, getting in early. He didn't understand in regards to it because I'm an early riser.
Yeah.
I'm in. Let's get after it.
Right.
Type deal. And I get sometimes more done between 7 and 9 o'clock than I do
Absolutely.
the day. And he's starting to learn that concept. He can
Right.
set his day up, in the morning when he's got some quiet time. And it's I think the light bulb kind of went off here.
So one of the things I always tell my kids is I say, make the first pot of coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get in the habit of making the first pot of coffee. And so I had 2 of the 3 are coffee drinkers now.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
But that just worked for me as
Yeah.
I just made it a habit of being and then what also happened is the other people that were here for the first couple of coffee were the head of service, was also the senior vice president of our marketplace. So all of a sudden there was that kind of mentoring and talk track. The people that aren't doing that good in a business place. And I got to say this with caution because in this new world, but it used to be, the ones that came in early and stayed late, were the movers and shakers.
Yeah.
So I was on my way to M1 Concourse and I drove past that facility.
That's crazy, isn't it?
It is.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Now, I got so a couple of things that came by. Number one, I read in the newspapers, mortgage rates, challenging, right?
Yep.
Your parking lots were full.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your parking lot, even in the sport complex.
Yeah.
And I saw people walking along, along that sidewalk from the sport complex to the main building. So what's going on?
Yeah, I walk everywhere. There's
Yeah.
3 main buildings, and we got things going on. Last night, there was a talent show that I went to. There's some talented people, great singers. I didn't even talk to you about it yet. I mean, there's some really, when you got 7,000 to 8,000 people in a building, there's talented people, musicians and a lot of singers last night. But
Did you bring out your high school ventriloquist act?
No, I didn't bring it. No,
okay.
I can't. I have trouble
Elvis?
humming.
Oh, you could do Elvis?
No, come on.
I mean,
No, that was a skit. And come on, stop it. Now you're.
Are you making a demand
I'm just
performance?
I'm just throwing stuff out there. I don't know. I've only been with you a million years. I think I saw that at one time.
Yeah. But no, what's going on? We're going through a cycle. I've been in business 30 years, and it got mean quick though.
Yeah.
They all got a little different flavor, right?
Yeah.
The whole world thought we're going to see 4 or 5% by the end of the year as an interest rate. Heck, we're in the upper 5s, low 6s. It's a little cooled off a tad bit in the middle of the year. So, you got so many different outside things. The complexion of these things, takes on a different look because now we're a global economy.
Right.
That wasn't I came into the business right after the big three recession, in 1992, that was in the late 80s and things of that nature. But probably the last time we waited in line for gas.
Wow. You're right. Yeah.
So now we kind of got that back, and things of that nature. But, my whole deal is we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We're going to figure it out.
So when you were here last, one of the predictions you were working on was that we were going to see an increase in rates. The government was going to try to stall inflation by ramping up high.
Yep.
And then things are going to kind of, I'm not going to say crash, but they're going to radically slow down.
Yeah.
And then your prediction was the government would come back in and dramatically reduce rates. And then in Q4, you were thinking we'd have a refi boom. Are you still along that same track?
Geez, it's funny. What was it, a month ago I was in here?
Yeah.
You just had the biggest, the Feds, hit rates at 75 basis points in the last meeting, which was, I think, last time they did that was in the late 80s, early 90s, I think. There may have been, somebody will correct me on this. I'll get a couple texts on this one. It may have been 9/11 too. I think they may have done some stuff like that. But anyways, nonetheless, you know what I mean? It's, they're going to slow it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This should temper it. You would think, and the Fed meeting minutes, where, their famous word, we're poised to do more.
Right.
If need be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the famous line. You know what I mean? So they're, it's cool stuff. I enjoy watching it. You know what I mean? And I know, and I'm not saying from a standpoint of people hurting and things like that and $5.
No, you're a student of the game.
Student of the game. You know what I mean? And and just kind of watching what happens and how people react and things of that nature. So
you still think there's going to be a refi boom?
Well, it's typically a recession. Rates come down. You know what I mean? But as crazy as it is, I think probably going to take a little bit longer now. You're probably into 2023 is what they're predicting now.
Wow, okay.
Before rates come down, but that's only next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's going to, next year's coming regardless.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And then we just went through the best 2 years in the mortgage business and really, probably, as an economy.
Wow.
So anyways, that's, it's cool stuff.
Yeah. Amy, do you like the biz?
I do.
You do?
Yeah. I like the people.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. I like the service part of it. I just love the people.
Yeah.
So getting to know, first-time home buyer or just helping somebody save some money or just finding out about their family. And
that's all, the people side.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
There's an old adage in business that people, buy on emotion but justify with logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
your business actually has both. You have the, the hard line of rates and closing dates and, paperwork that has to be I's perfectly dotted. But then on the flip side, the houses, I read anyway, the largest purchase most people make.
Right.
So,
of course.
So a lot of emotion there.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a new term.
Yeah.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Marry the house, date the rate. Marry the house, date the rate. I mean, that's what's coming.
Not wrong.
Really, people are like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to, we built a home.
Yeah.
Worst time lumber was,
Oh my goodness.
$1,100 or, 1,000 linear feet or whatever. I think that's how they measure lumber. And the highest it's ever been, I think that's come down to, to $400, $500, $600 now. But, people are like, well, why are you doing it? Why are we doing it? I mean, if you wait around for the perfect time to, shoot 3 bullseyes, you'll be waiting your whole life, and but that's it. I mean, right now, if you find a house, here's the other thing too, is that your interest rate on rent is 100%.
Yeah. Ain't that? Wow.
So buy a house. If you love a house and it's that time in your life to do it, buy a house.
That's interesting. Interest. Yeah. Rent.
Yeah.
Interest 100%. Wow.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Hey, so some of the things that you talked about in the podcast that were pretty open discussions was the loss of a parent.
Yeah.
And
both of us had it.
Yeah. And so just how did you guys go through that together? Because it was your father, it was your mom.
Yes.
And it happened in different time frames. And I mean, it's a challenge. Nobody gets out of here alive, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah, that's the way to put it.
so that's a lot to go through.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to go first? There's two different things that happen, but you go first.
I think I guess I can speak to both really, going through on the spouse side of one, and then, being the daughter of a parent that passed away. I mean, it's tough any way you look at it.
Right.
Tough for the kids too. They were at different ages. Tough for us. Vince is a pretty stoic guy. So he just jumped into nurture mode, really on both of them. Loss of his dad and loss of my mom, and really gave me a lot of space and time to spend with my dad, who was really struggling that first year. But it's not easy.
No.
And always causes some sort of something in families, right?
Oh yeah.
But
when you lose a patriarch like that, there's a stabilization family problem,
Right.
You know what I mean? And quite frankly, we sought professional help when my father passed away. We had to go talk to somebody and talk this out. You know what I mean? And I think that's a lot of people. I think that stigma has come a long way. From back when I was kids. You know what I mean? When we were kids, excuse me. And but now it's just we got help and we fought through it.
Right.
And sometimes one side would want to give up, or the other side give up, but the other side would be pushing, and we just all pushed together at one point and came back together.
Yeah, I think between both families, and I can say this pretty confidently, I think your family, who's also my family as well, but I'm saying your immediate family and my family, just fierce lovers. I mean, just love so fiercely that sometimes it gets muddled.
Emotional.
Yeah, it gets muddled, right?
Yeah.
So you want to do the
Gets
best
volcanic.
and that's I think
yeah.
what happened in maybe that situation, but it's also great too that we have family around. Yeah. Unfortunately my brother lives out of state, but he was here for my mom's duration of being sick and stuff. But it's not easy, but I think just being the open communication and working through the storm part of it, because it would be easy to just be like, okay, that's it, forget it.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to this person anymore. And that's I think the difference of we just made the conscious choice to fight through things and have the tough discussions and meet and figure things out.
Both died of long diseases too, which is tough.
Really,
You sit there and look at I'll be talking to somebody and somebody somebody's parent or significant other passes away at night, just all of a sudden, you know what I mean? And it's really driven me to think, what's, not that either of them are good or what's better. Boy, oh boy, to watch
A long, drawn out death.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. You know what I
Cancer.
mean? You got to deal with both cancer and then really intestinal.
Yeah.
stomach.
And she actually, hers, it was unfortunate. She got very sick with that, and it just couldn't pull out of it. So she went quickly, unexpectedly, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Where your dad battled for a long time.
My dad had breast cancer.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
For a male,
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
That's how it started. You know what I mean?
Right.
That ended up getting him. It spread.
Wow.
It came back and spread 5-6 years later. But but anyway, so someone's gonna have to explain that disease to me.
Right.
Another one someday. Yeah.
But I would say to anybody that's going through that or has gone through not the particular cancer, but a loss of a parent, I think the way you guys handled it and discussed it on your podcast was very adult-like.
Oh,
Yeah,
thanks.
no, it's cool. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank
you
you.
know.
Yeah.
It's a wide open discussion.
It's just real.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the bottom line is that everybody has to deal with it at one point or another.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate and it stinks and you don't want to be in that club and things are forever changed after. But if you can grab it and try to, work through it together with whoever is your, significant other or family.
The living can come out stronger.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
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 Yeah. A lot of lessons out of that for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, are we going to see a return of the Parlove Shack?
This might be the staple that.
I would venture to say yes.
All right, let's go. It's
Yeah.
on you.
Yeah. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for
Give
me,
us a topic. What would you like to hear us talk about?
Yeah. What
Maybe
would
you
be
can help us.
something good?
All right, so I've got a concept. Let me ask you, because you both seem to be folks that are what I would refer to as go-getters.
Sure.
All right.
I think that's probably accurate.
So I hear a lot of people talk about the economy is going to screw up my retirement, or this is going to mess with my retirement. And people have different views of retirement.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, like, my view of it is it's almost a pullback from life. I mean, that's just my personal.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people, pull back from life. And then I've also seen people embrace life and try different things and go down different avenues.
Yeah.
So I think that might be a decent topic.
That's actually a really
That's
great
a good one.
one. That's a
Yeah,
great
we
one.
won't spoil it here, but
Yeah.
maybe you gave us some idea.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
Inspiration, yeah.
I like it.
And then one thing that still fascinates me is multi-generational issues. And the reason is, with technology today, number one, people are living longer. Number two, people have more of an ability to connect via social media and what have you. But I look at it different than my kids, who are oldest 25 and youngest going to be 19 soon. I look at it different than they do.
Right.
So I think the multi-generational effect today is something that's unique, especially in the workforce, where you got the old guy saying, hey, that ain't how to do it. This is how I did it. And you got the young guy going, what are you, an idiot? Do it this way,
Yeah.
For sure.
And then in between, there's a whole spectrum of people.
Yeah.
And everybody has to be respected. Input has to be derived. And then the best output, option can come out. So I think multi-generational topics are pretty important.
Okay.
We can invite Pap and Nene on the
Yeah, we can do that. We can
Mom
have
and
them on the
my
show.
dad.
Yeah.
So let's go down this path. What are those nicknames?
Okay.
my dad. My kids have called my mom and my dad Nana and Pap.
Right.
So my dad's Pap. Yeah.
Yep.
So I read this article about people over the last 10 or 15 years, the stigma of being called grandma and grandpa.
Yeah. Oh, really?
So
Okay, yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
I just heard one the other day. Lola, which I thought was so sweet for a grandma.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I thought Lola was very sweet. Vince's mom goes by Nene,
Yeah.
which I think kind of started out as maybe the Italian side was Nona, but
Nona.
but I think it was maybe Bianca that started calling her Nene or
Could be.
somebody,
Yeah.
and that's what stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Nene and Papa were on his side. So
Well, Lola works unless you're a fan of the Kinks.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yes, true.
That joke only plays for a certain age group.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I for one would look forward to it.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate
really
it.
would.
thanks. These are all great suggestions. I love it.
Also for the audience, you guys probably noticed one thing here. We are a bourbon sponsored show by For Kings Not Gods, but we have one person here not drinking bourbon.
Yep.
So what do we
Cheers.
have?
Cheers.
McUltra with a lime, my favorite.
Yes, with the lime. So with that, let's have a toast
Cheers.
Cheers.
to the Parlove Shack.
Thanks for having
Let
us.
me have
Yes.
a little there, tap.
There you
And
go.
we'll call that one a wrap. I
Thank
thank
you for
everybody,
having us.
and
Thank
thank
you.
you very
Thank you.
much.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.